Good evening everybody, hope I find you well. Just still getting set up here and then we'll go into it. Stream manager's going, track info is there. 1 minute. I don't want you to know my location, thank you very much. You can block that. Anyway, it's round number 9 then. In for another endurance race tonight after the sprint races we did the other week at Bathurst, which were exceptionally good fun. Phil G, how you doing? I'm just popping links in CRT actually, so I know the CRT boys are all over the stream, so I appreciate that. Now alive for the MRC Tier R League from Brands Hatch. Race that, get rid of that extra bit. I need to try and dig the points out as well, they're in here somewhere. Because I want to try and go over them tonight. Hopefully during qualifying is the plan. So, Ghost Rider, how are you doing, Chief? Thanks for jumping in as always, lads. I've just posted in the CRT group, so there's a notification going in there. Perfect, right, that's all set up, right. So, yeah, qualifying's just underway now. So we'll get on track. Let's just get the keyboard rocking. Meloman, welcome. Let's get all the race info up. Let's get the keyboards on. So if we got in the room, let's have a quick look at the drivers for your entertainment tonight. So, Phil G. He's had a bit of a mixed bag at Bathurst last week. He had good pace as always. He qualified well, but an incident early on in the race kind of skewered his chances a little bit. Miggins, another one whose race got skewered a little bit, quite literally as well. But he'll be hoping for a good result tonight. We got Lucky Bucky out as well. He had a good time, I think. I want to say he had a brilliant last lap on the final race. It was absolutely stonking. He clipped it, I watched it, it was really good. Buddy, always a threat is our Buddy, and we got Full Send 87, someone who's, I mean this is something I'll catch, cheers Melwan, this is something I'll go on about in the, probably more in the race, but the BMW is perfectly suited to Brands Hatch, but I'll go into that in a bit more depth. Mr. Sean 2284 in the Mercedes. He's enjoying this league, I think. Had a bit of a mixed bag in terms of results, but he's always there. He's there or thereabouts. We've got Slow Seamus as well, again, a BMW. D.90, he's in the Evo. We've got Roving Island, he's in the Audi. He was missing last time out. He was an observer, you'll remember him being in chat, but he's here tonight. We have Cutler in the Viper. We have Puani. Great result for Puani last time out, in 11th at the minute, and Duds in the Mercedes. So 12 drivers entertaining you tonight. The hot laps are rolling their way in. Bada boom! Mikey Rapscally, welcome along. Right. I am just going to see if I can find the points in the group chat so I can give you a little bit of insight. But I also know that Facebook's oh look, someone, who's that? Nev, you absolute hero if you're watching this. Nev's just literally fallen over. Right then, so championship order going into this final round. So following Mountain Panorama, your league leader by only a handful of points is Miggins. Then there's Puani in second place, and then you've got Britsberger in third at the minute. We've got Cutler in 4th, Buddy in 5th, Phil G in 6th, Sean 7th, Lucky Bucky in 8th, D-Dot in 9th, with Slow Seamus in 10th, Full Send in 11th, with Roving Island in 12th, Idle 13th, he's not racing tonight I don't think, Duds in 14th, and Tyler Roberts in 15th place. So first the laps are in, 22.4 for Buddy, seems to be good early pace. Phil G 22.4 as well, just 5 thousandths of a second behind him. Then Miggins has put in 22.7, Sean the first driver in the 23s, then D-Dot in the 26s. Right, okay, let me give you some of the lore about Brands Hatch. It's not a power circuit, so in theory the big lumpy cars like the Aston Martin will be pretty decent over one lap, but over a race distance, on paper, shouldn't do very well. They will churn their tyres too much, they will not be very fuel efficient. All this is in theory, of course, and it should in theory then be the more nimble cars that traditionally don't have the most pungent engines in the world, but can tiptoe around quite nicely. So I am of course hinting towards the Evos and the BMWs in this. The Evos and the BMWs have a shorter wheelbase, enables them to turn better, enables them to give the tyres a little bit less of a hard time. And they should naturally be more at home at a track like this. Of course, you've got to extract the performance out of the car. They are a little bit harder to drive. Now, the short wheelbase makes them more snappy. So they're not as easy to get turned in, is essentially what I'm saying. Full send though in the BMW does stick it on pole with a 22.0. Early days in qualifying, yeah, I'm sure we'll see these times dip into the 21s. Reason for that, heavy on fuel at the minute. They left the pits with 100 kilos of fuel on board. They've currently burnt away around 10 to 15 kilos of that. Most qualifying sessions we see a full half tank fuel burn by the end, so that's 50 kilos of weight they've got rid of in that time, and that's worth quite a lot. 50 kilos, if you've ever tried to just pick it up static off the floor, is quite a lot of weight, so carrying that around in an already lightweight race car will have detrimental impacts on its ability to carry speed from corners. So that's kind of the lore about Brands Hatch. We will jump on board for a lap of course in a moment, and I'll just show you what the drivers are challenged with. It's a tight twisty track, there's not a lot of room, it's not exactly wide, and in terms of runoff, well, the runoff is grass in most areas, and where it isn't grass, it's gravel. And in a GT3 car on slick tyres, that doesn't necessarily, it's not good news. It's basically the word on the street. So if you go a little bit deep into turn 1, you're in that gravel trap and you're losing a lot of time. Anywhere else you're on the grass, it's slippy and you'll just slide straight off. So the drivers will have to compete not only against one another but against the track as well, and across 50 minutes that's going to be quite a challenge for each and every one of them. So consistency here is going to be key, not necessarily nailing a good lap after lap. If you can just keep it on the track, you'll be picking up time over everyone else. So that's the intro to the race, I guess. We've given you the points, we've given you the rundown of who the drivers are. Let's have a look at qualifying then as we dip into the second half of this qualifying session, which is going to be immediately followed by a 50-minute race. Similar to the Suzuka race we had not long ago, there are specific tyre rules in effect tonight, including a pit window, I believe. So the drivers have been allocated one set of the soft, one set of the medium, and one set of the hard compound tyre. And so how they use that, when they use that, how they deploy their tyre, I'd be very surprised if anyone starts on the soft. That's never really a good strategy, because then you're just going to be slower. And plus you've got a full tank of fuel at the time as well. But if you're expecting to qualify at the sharp end of the field like a full send is, as there's a car parked the other way. Who's that? That is Miggins. Yeah, if you're expecting to qualify high up, starting on the softs might not be a bad shout, just escape away. This full send does dip into the 21s, a 21.4 for full send. He's nearly a second faster than everybody else on track right now. So that is partially to do with the BMW's ability, but full send's also a very capable driver. But that BMW is right at home here. Its gearing's perfect for it. The weight balance of the car feels great. The traction's amazing. When I raced in this competition, I had the BMW M6 as well. This was the only track I was remotely competitive on. Because the rest of it is power oriented. The rest of it at the time was power orientated, and this just isn't. This nerfs it. And Suzuka was alright as well. But as soon as you got to Bathurst, boom, you're out of the equation, basically. Phil G also doing well. He's yet to dip into the 22s, but he is improving his lap time. He's currently on for a low 22, which if he nails it, should see him above Buddy, who's currently on 22.4. So if Phil does continue his improvement pattern, we should see him nudge up a place. Lucky Bucky in the Lexus P4 as well. The Lexus is a big lump of a car, but a 22.6 for the Lexus so far is a damn good time. Phil G does improve his time, but he does lose time in that second sector. It's 22.4. His second sector was up by a tenth and a bit, so he's actually lost a little bit of time there. So better times in store for Phil G, no doubt. Buddy's also out and he's setting another go at it. He's probably ready to come in and get rid of those tyres though, in fairness for Buddy. Full Send has just done that, so he's now on an out lap and he will just start his campaign of low fuel runs now. Phil G's not got a lot of tyre wear on those tyres, so he's doing okay. Lucky Bucky, he's out as well on an out lap, so he's going to go for it. Sean on an out lap as well. Miggins, 22.7 for Miggins so far. We know he's a fast driver. Actually goes purple, sector 1. Sector 2, as is usually the way, is where the time is won and lost a lot of times here. Because it predominantly consists of 30s, it goes even faster through sector 2 as we enter sector 3, which is essentially just a hill. So Miggins might be worth watching here. He's got rid of some fuel out of that. He's got a bit of a feel for the track now. He's still purple. So Sheen Curve then approaching. This is where a lot of time is won and lost here at Brands. Actually runs a little bit wide there out of Westfield. Nice and tidy it looks like through Sheen Curve. Probably a little bit conservative for Megan, but he's still purple. He might even get a little bit of a tow here from Cutler ahead. Hopefully Cutler doesn't actually slow him down a little bit then as we come through Clark Curve. On the power as early as he did. Again, just a tiny bit conservative there for Miggins, if I dare say so. But sector B purple time, 21.6. He actually lost a little bit of time in that last sector. It's still a very, very, very good time. But he was purple right up until the end. So I want to bet it was that run out of Westfield that lost him a little bit of time there. Just got a bit of a wheel on the grass on the left-hand side. Did actually well considering to not lose too much time. My man D-Dot, 22.9 for D-Dot at the minute in the Evo. Again, we may see faster times on the horizon for D-Dot. He's got relatively decent tyres and nice and light on fuel. His last lap was an eye on 2.5 improvement from his current best. This one isn't going to be an improvement for him, but he can go again. He has a decent enough lead over Slow Seamus and the BMW, who's now on an out lap. Duds in the Mercedes, 24.6 for Duds at the minute. This isn't going to be an improvement for him. Puani, it's a bit shocking to see Puani down at this end of the grid, to be fair, but as he just tries to stay out of the way there. Whether he's got time to get round pit and just get one more hot one in, I'm not too sure. Roving Island in the Audi. The Audi's going to be a bit of a mixed bag here. It will be a bit of a handful with the way the engine's mounted. You have to use a lot of curbs here at Brands, and the Audi's gets a lot of weight transfer with that. So we'll see how Roving Island copes with that. Cutler in a minute, he's stone dead last, 5.5 seconds nearly off the pace. Does improve that, puts a 26.4 on the board, but still behind Roving Island's time. Meanwhile, at the sharp end, Full Send 21.2 for Full Send here. He's absolutely flying at the minute. Miggins 21.2 as well, so Miggins went even faster the next lap round. So obviously had a lap where he didn't make any mistakes at what do we call it, Westfield. Phil G coming to the end of a lap. Let's have a quick look at the timing screens. Is anyone screaming? Full Send is coming towards the end of a lap now. Oh no, he was purple, but now he's got engine damage, so that's pretty much Full Send's campaign over. Miggins is coming up to the scene of the crime now. Full Send staying well out of the way. Miggins, is he set to improve this time? He's not actually. He's not setting any personal best sectors. And actually he jumps in the pit, so he's going to try and get round for one more go at this now. Pole is there for Miggins. Lucky Bucky, P3 at the minute, 22.0. Good performance from Lucky Bucky. He's going to have another crack at this as well. MRC Buddies having another go. He's going through Druids at the minute. And then we're on board with Sean. Is Sean improving his time? Soon to find out. 22.7 is his best at the minute. I don't think he's going to beat that, is he? Oh, he does beat that. 22.1. That's a great lap from Sean. That's a great lap. It chunks like 7, is he? No, 6 tenths off that. Great work, Sean. That was a good lap, mate. Full send has his damage repaired. He should have just enough time to get round, you know, and start another lap. He might just make the cut-off. Yeah, he might just make the cut-off there. Lucky Bucky that's a nice tidy line out of Westfield. No one who's on a lap at the minute is really flying. Phil G did improve a sector but lost time elsewhere, so 22.7 for him. Yeah, he lost time elsewhere. Full Send has made a mistake coming through Surtees, I want to say that looks like, so yeah, he's going to be out of it now. Let's take you on board for a lap with Mr. Miggins as he goes for his pole time. So turn 1, Paddock Hill. The corner dips away from you here on the outer apex, so you need to make sure you're braking earlier than you think. Just get the car tucked into that inner apex and then let the car run out wide through the Palmer Bridge. That's your braking point. Down to second, trail brake the car on the inner apex. Use that inside for grip. Power out Graham Hill bend. A lot of mistakes will be made down here. Early on the brakes, ride the inside curve and power the car through. Don't be afraid to use plenty of curve on the exit, just don't take the piss with it. Coming through Surtees, very, very difficult corner. You almost let the car coast through. As soon as you hit that line on the circuit, that's your acceleration point and you can power out through. Down through Pilgrims, drop them. Not quite long enough in some cases to get a slipstream move done as you start braking into Hawthorns. It's a slight dab of the brakes in here and then you're immediately back on the gas again as you come down towards Westfield. Your exit is blind, you have to trust the car will stick. And then as you come up to Sheen Curve, again, a terrifying corner in race conditions. Just chunk as much of that inner curve away as you can and just hope to God the tyres hold it. Miggins is improving, but he needs a mighty last sector. Runs it nicely out of Stirling, down towards Clark Curve now. Needs a perfect Clark Curve to separate, to secure that pole position. Again, quite nice from Miggins, but I feel it was just being erring on the side of caution a little bit. 21.2 to beat. 21.3 in the end for Miggins, so the pole time is going to go to Full Send by the looks of it, unless Lucky Bucky can stop him. He can't. Buddy's given up as well, and I think it looks like everybody has done their laps. Yeah, we are done with all laps. We only have 11 drivers. Where's the 12th? Oh, there's Miggins. So Miggins is going to have to get out. Past sector 1 quickly, so Miggins is going to want to set off. I don't know if you're listening, Cutler, but just give Miggins time to get out, dude. There he is. It has registered him. And if you're watching, drop in and say hello. It'd be nice to know who's watching. We are about to get underway here at Brantach for 50 minutes in the GT3 cars. This is obviously the Mature Racing Club TOR League. TOR is Team Oliver Racing, and also sponsored by Martin Oliver Transport. Now, if you're interested in getting involved in any of this, head over to the Mature Racing Club Facebook page and get involved. And that's who's hosting the league, but I can also point you in the direction of many other great sim racing groups. CRT are heavily represented in here as well. A lot of their drivers compete in this championship. They're a good bunch to check out. There is also P1, there is Next Gen, there is SimFX, there is ESR. If GT Sports your bag and you're fed up with the banging dailies and you want some good competitive racing, I can certainly recommend this is the best way of doing it. And you never know, you might be unlucky enough to have a race commentated over by me one day. If you want to ruin your life. How's the stream quality, by the way, if you're watching? Everything's been reported good on mine. I've got a good solid bit rate coming back at me, but just let me know if that's not the case. I don't know what the delay is. I'm not sure what we're waiting for here. Good luck, Sean from Ghost Rider. Sean's P4, mate. P4 for Sean. He's smashed it in right at the end. But these Mercedes guys are just going to have to be careful with the tyres. Close about. Cheers, mate. Thank you. It says it is, but you can never quite trust it. You know what I mean? All I've got to rely on is like a little bit rate indicator at the top that tells me if the quality suddenly drops out. Currently, it's showing us 720p HD, which is not quite as good as what I'm looking at, but it should be good enough for streaming. Right, final. Here we go. Last Gold Petit. I'll start preparing better for these 50-minuters because I've got like a bottle of water by my side, a cup of tea, some strepsils in the back. Alright, so a good luck to all drivers then. Here's your starting grid for 50 minutes at Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. And the drivers are going to have to be careful on the start line. Those traction controllers, of course, banned for this series, so the drivers don't have any assistance on the line. It's all down to the delicacy of their right foot. We're just waiting for the start lights, and away we go. As you can see, D-Dot there gets a bad start. He collects slow Seamus with him as well at the start. Full Send gets away well, but Miggins is going to try and hang it around the outside in that Mercedes. Miggins got a great start. As they come down towards, I think it's for the first time, Druids. Everyone behaving themselves. It looks like it. Lucky Bucky looks to have gone a little bit deep. Miggins starting to make a little bit of a breakaway for it now. Full Send does this. He always tends to start poorly. I mean, the BMW is a bit of a poor starting car anyway, so that's probably the attribute. Sean up to third now after Phil G ran it a little bit wide coming out of Graham Hill. Anyone getting brave through Surtees. Lucky Bucky's just gone a little bit wide. Buddy's been tanked into the barriers, but he avoids damage. Just keeps the car going. D-Dot is right at the back after that start misdemeanor. Sean tried round the outside of Full Send. Sean round the outside, oh that's it. I was always going to end one way. He tries to get out the way as well. Is he going to give himself damage doing that? No, he takes himself off, but he doesn't give himself damage, so he rescues it. Cutler then up to fourth. With that, we've got slow Seamus off into the kitty litter in the background as well. There's a lot happening on this first lap. We'll try and give some context to it as we go along, of course. We've got Lucky Bucky trying to get an attack made on Cutler, but he's also having to defend against Pirani here. You can see the Lexus going side by side with the Dodge. Two very different cars in the way they're made. The Lexus, of course, and Pirani's just trying to throw it down the inside. Nice move there by Pirani. He's got himself down the inside for Druids. Cutler's trying to turn in anyway, but there's a car in his way, so he's not going to be able to do that. Cutler having to go the long way round. Cutler actually making that move back. That's some solid driving by Cutler, but he goes wide coming out of Graham Hill, and that's going to give Pirani a little bit of a run. Pirani actually looks like he backed out of that coming into Surtees. We'd rather live another day. We've got Duds then up to 7. Duds has had a great start. He's stayed out of trouble. He's also on the hard tyre, so he's on the slowest tyre to start with. Most drivers, I say most, I'm pretty much saying all here, all but Duds are on the medium compound. So Duds in theory should just fall backwards through this process now. He's going to be really struggling to get some temperature into those tyres. For context, the tyre modelling in the game is relatively realistic in terms of its heat cycles and stuff. It can't map everything perfectly, of course. If you lock a brake, it doesn't really matter. It does just overheat that tyre for a little bit. But your tyre warm-up does take effect, so softs, pretty much minimal tyre warm-up on those. They will warm up in a couple of corners. The hards take pretty much a lap to get up to temperature. The mediums a little bit less, as Miggins is starting to stretch his legs in the lead now. Full Send is probably struggling to keep up with him a little bit. Phil G now is broke clear of the guys that were chasing him, Sean, etc. Holding third in that Evo and maintaining good pace. We've got Lucky Bucky in P4. He's having to fight for that though. Pirani in 5th. Has dropped back a little bit now through fighting with Cutler. Speaking of Cutler, he's now on fight with Aston Martin and Buddy, who was off at this exact corner a couple of laps ago. Buddy then, who's one of the know, some very capable drivers in the championship, all very capable drivers. We'll see D-Dot here trying to make a move on Duds. Duds is going to send him around the outside here, and this could be bad. D-Dot actually backs out of that by the looks of it. I would argue rather sensibly he does so as well. Right, is it worth having a look at what happened to our Sean earlier? So he's round the outside of full send here. Now he had a right to be there, but yeah, I mean there was no contact. There was no contact. Sean definitely had a right to be there. Full send definitely looked to have given the space, so no foul play. It's just Sean was probably just a little bit late on his brakes. No, but it's a 50-minute race. Anything can happen. Sean just needs to keep that mindset really of just keeping on track. So D-Dot having take 2 against Duds. Can the Evos throw it down the inside? Yes, he can. The Mercedes, which is currently strapped with a set of hard tyres, is struggling to keep up with the Evo's cornering ability, but slings it up the inside regardless. Nice and tidy between all of them. Sean's looking like he might get involved in that little battle. Oh, D-Dot and Sean have tangled. We can go back and have a look at that, but that's given D-Dot heavy damage now, so he's got... Yeah, these engines gone. Let's have a look. What happened to D-Dot? So we're on board with D-Dot. I guess because that's a boot full of oversteer. I don't think... I want to say Duds didn't touch him. So this on board with a Mercedes. So Duds nice and tidy, makes the apex. Nice, gives him room, yeah. No, that's... yeah. Yeah, Duds is innocent in that one. Just D-Dot got a boot full of oversteer. We've got Cutler off as well in the Viper. Waits, of course, for other cars to get on. We will go and have a look at that in just a moment. I'm just going to recap the top guys. So we've got Miggins, full send, still leading the way. Phil G, he's getting caught a little bit by Lucky Bucky actually. Lucky Bucky's got some really good pace at the minute, lapping a couple of attempts faster than the car ahead. Puani still holding 5th, Buddy's up to 6th now, Sean in 7th, Slow Seamus in 8th. That's a good start for the BMW driver. Duds in 9th, Roving Island in 10th. Cutler in 11th, D-Dot in 12th. D-Dot after having that damage. What happened to Cutler now? This is Sheen Curve. I'm gonna guess he just ran it a little bit fast and went on the left on. Yeah. Just too hot going into Sheen. I think he was fortunate to sort of recover from that without damage. In terms of the pit window, I forgot to look at what the pit window is. I'm going to quickly have a look at what that is actually. Oh, no pit window or no mandatory pit stops. Yeah, so it's actually been a little bit relaxed tonight. The pit window, I'm sorry, I thought that was in the Enduros. It's not. The pit window is in the feature races. It's to stop you just blagging the blagging the slower tyre off. Phil G's picked up the pace now, 23.3. He's responded to Lucky Bucky's pace because Lucky Bucky was dealing in the 23.5s in the Lexus with relative ease, and he was catching Phil G, and Phil's noticed that and immediately popped in a 23.3 and is equaling that pace at least at the start of this lap. So that is roughly what the guys ahead are doing. So Miggins and full send are obviously on quite aggressive strategies. I think they need to be fair, given the position they're in. They can't be conservative leading the race. Yeah, and I think they're just wanting to sort of get the maximum pace out of the medium tyre. Certainly, well, Miggins, well, he's got clean air and no cars to battle with. If he can stretch the medium stint a little bit, giving him less time on the hard later on, I think it'll probably help him. He's doing alright for fuel, so yeah, we'll see how that plans out for Miggins. But certainly a good start for him, but a long way to go. We've still got 40 minutes remaining. But he's picked up a little bit of a penalty somewhere, so we'll have to shake that off. Sean has recovered now. That first lap incident cost him dearly, but he's back up to 7th, and like I said, the race is young. anything can happen yet, and he's kept good consistency since that time as well. He's just done nothing but pull away from the guys behind him ever since, really. Roving Island, not far behind Duds. The Audi, which does sound nice at full chat. Chasing the Mercedes down. Don't forget the Mercedes is the only car with a hard compounder tyre. Unsure how long Duds is going to want to keep that tyre on, but he could also be looking at being fuel limited as well. So looking at the fuel consumption rates, I don't think it's a major concern, but they might just want to watch it. So if they pitted now, then they'd have to fuel save and do two 20-minute stints on the mediums and softs, and probably wouldn't be ideal, because they're the tyres you want to go fast on. D-Dot then, 5 seconds behind Cutler on the medium tyre. Again, just a shame his race basically got tanked by a bit of an oversteer moment coming out of turn 2, but that's racing, I'm afraid. That does happens in the real world, and as I've said before, this league is aimed at being as close to a simulation as you can on GT Sport, and that's the name of the game. Unfortunately, it happens to us all. Right, let me go back to this cup of tea before it gets stone cold. And it's too early really to start predicting people's strategies. In terms of fuel levels, some are carrying a bit, some are carrying more than others, but it's negligible. We're only 10 minutes in, it's hard to say, but looking at the fuel consumption rates, if you can save fuel, it's going to save you a fair amount of time in the pit stops, because it's a hard track to save fuel on, really, especially if you're fighting someone. In terms of Miggins and Full Send, they've been pretty much trading lap times, these two. They're not directly fighting each other. Full Send's not really up Miggins' chuff, so to speak, so they can both essentially just lap cleanly. Same for Phil G. We've had Pirani off. Sean managed just to sneak his way through. Once did Pirani just run it a little bit deep there. Yeah, his turning was just a little bit delayed, that's all it was. It was nothing major. Last 2 seconds off again. Oh, we've got... Who's that? Is that Lucky Bucky? What's happened to Lucky Bucky, man? You were running in 4th. I think I need to go back. This is a Sheen Curver if ever I've seen one before. Yeah. He escapes big damage there. He escapes big damage, which is lucky, and he waits as well for Lucky Bucky, but that's, again, it's going to be a bit of a shame for him. He's running really well in this one. The commentator's curse, I've just said nice things about him. I've got to stop doing that, and then hopefully these boys will stop crashing. So Buddy then, after a small lap 1 incident, we won't call it a big one, but a small lap 1 incident, finds himself back in 4th position. Looks like he's executing his strategy well. He's managing to save a decent amount of fuel in that Aston Martin, which I'm quite impressed with. The Aston, known for being quite a thirsty boy, is doing a good job of being frugal today. So one thing about this league that I've mentioned every stream, but this is just for the benefit of people that are casually watching. This is not balance of performance, this is full tuning. So the drivers have assigned weights and power ratios that they have to hit. So basically they're told what power output they can per car and what the weight is. They then have to set the car up for each track. So if you were to take a standard Mercedes, for example, and stick it on this track, you wouldn't be getting 22.6s out of it. You'd be struggling to get in the 24s probably. But because they're allowed to alter the tuning track specific, take downforce off, put downforce on, adjust damper ratios, torque vector and all that sort of stuff, they can really set the car up. So sometimes a good performance or a good fuel saving, tyre management is down to the way they set the cars up. So taking downforce off for sometimes would ease tyre wear, but the trade-off is you can't carry as much speed through the corners. Brands Hatch is traditionally a track where you want the downforce. The trade-off is it can be quite high on your tyre day. So again, the drivers will have to factor that into their setups. Fuel consumption can be all about your gearing, so you can essentially tune your gears so that you can be in higher gears during the twisty parts of the circuit and not lose too much time. Being in a higher gear will default save your fuel. Again, this is all stuff that these guys will have been looking into over the past week or so. Right, in terms of pits, not really seen anything happening as of yet, but I didn't really expect to. I would expect anyone that's running the mediums to try and at least scrim 20 minutes out of the first medium stint at a bare minimum. Anyone pitting before 20 minutes on mediums for a change of tyres is probably in a little bit of trouble, because it means you're either running longer on the hards or longer on the softs, and the softs don't like anything more than 20 minutes. They will die a horrible death after that time. Lucky Bucky then's got himself back running. Fortunately, he didn't. He's got a little bit of damage actually on that right, on that, a little bit of front aero damage, and a little bit on that left-hand upright suspension. So it will affect his turning where that tyre is loaded, and unfortunately at Brands Hatch, that's pretty much all of sectors 2 and 3. So that will start to affect his lap times, I'm afraid. But again, it's probably not worth pitting just to fit that damage. He might as well stay out and wait. Right. So yeah, it looks like a tank of fuel does you for about 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how frugal you are. Now that's important for strategy. When you're on your hards, you want to be as light as you can on your fuel, just to offset the time loss. So some drivers might try that. So they might be stretching this medium stint and being fuel efficient so they can afford to run a lighter, hard time. It's what I do in another series. It's the exact same theory I use. My buddy is flying at the minute, 22.8 in the Aston Martin, all while being quite frugal as well. He's reeling Phil G in just a little bit. 22.8 last time for Buddy, and a 24.0 that time out for Phil G. So Phil's in a little bit of no man's land at the minute, but the race is long, and we know what Phil is capable of. Just the body language of Buddy's car just looks like a man possessed, doesn't it? Another one who I'm secretly quite impressed with. I don't want to say anything nice about him because I fear it'll spear him off, but after that incident earlier on in the race, Sean has really just shown a level head. He's kept his consistency up, he's managing his tyres beautifully, doing a great job on his fuel. Sean could definitely be one to watch in this race, providing he just keeps it on the track. Twiggy, how are the CRT boys doing? Well, one of them's winning. Granted, it's early days in the road. He's lost a ton of time there. What's happened? That was recent. That was very recent. What's happened? Miggins and full send are a lot closer than they were before. Right, ProAm pulls the trigger and pits a little bit early, if you ask me, but what do I know? Yeah, CRT boys doing alright, mate. Doing alright. They've had a bit of an unlucky first stint, but the race is long and the hopes are high. So Sean was running quite high. He's back up to 5th now, but he was quite lowly at the start. Lucky Bucky was also running in 4th. Had a bit of an off at Sheen here, and yeah, now he's recovering a little bit. But yeah, he's full sender CRT dude as well. I never know. Most of this lobby is CRT. Let's be honest with you. Like, there's only Buddy that's MRC in it, I think. Oh no, slow Seamus. Of course it is. What's Seamus in here? I don't count Seamus because he never says anything nice about him. Who else is there? Oh, there's Cutler, who is technically next Tanzo, isn't he? I nearly said the N word then. Right, Duds on his hard. We expected Duds to fall backwards, and he has. This was expected. This was potentially part of the plan. But I want to say, looking at them lap times, he had a severe off on lap 11 that I completely missed. Mr. Didot has been pulling time on Cutler. So again, he'll be hopeful at what the later stages of the race has to offer. He is. Oh, right, fair enough, I didn't know. Unless they say CRT in the name, I've no idea. I only know Sean, because obviously Sean is Sean. Right, tea finished while it was still mildly warm. Right then, to these guys, if I were full send, do I want to pit now just to undercut? Well, he doesn't. But Miggins is going to be a tough car to get past, and we've done about 20 minutes, so you might have just pulled the undercut trigger there if you'd asked. But Phil G's probably going to stick it in the pits right now. Buddy's also going to do the same. I fear Buddy's going to get him here because he's probably not going to need to put as much fuel in. Depends what his strategy is going to be. Look at the job Buddy did there on fuel, 17% as opposed to Phil's 3. And an excellent job by Buddy in his fuel saving ability. Slow Seamus drifts it onto the kitty litter again. I don't know whether he keeps seeing like an attractive woman in the crowd over there or something, but he loves going off at that corner. It's going to give Puani an opportunity to close in. Puani's pitted, he's now on the hard tyre. He pitted a lap or so ago. So he's going on the hard tyre. It looks like he might be in for a bit of a long stint. You ideally now really need to be doing like a 10-minute stint on the hards. So probably about 7 laps or so on the hard tyre. Maybe even a bit less, depending on timings. And then get away with as little fuel that he can in the last stint, and go at it on the softs really. Miggins and full send still at it. I would expect these boys to probably peel off into the pits now. Miggins doesn't, full send doesn't. They're really stretching this medium stint. Now, although that's costing them lap time now a little bit, I mean, actually granted I eat my words, it isn't. The lap times are still in the 23s, which is massively impressive. The trade-off for that really is they're going to have their options a bit more open. I'd probably expect them both to go on the hard for a mid-stint, fuel for 10 minutes, go out, get rid of them, come in, get the softs on, boom. That's probably what they'd do. It's probably the fastest way of dealing with it, because they've got enough of a gap. They've got an 18-second gap to Sean, who also needs to pit soon. So the next car behind him that's going at it is Buddy. Buddy is on the softs, so he's still got the hard tyres to take. Now Buddy could be a threat, because if he gets enough of a gap built on the soft tyre and then goes on the hard, he's going to be hard to pass at the end, because it's Buddy is an Aston Martin, he's a quick driver. But again, we'll see how that maps out. Phil G, he's gone onto the hard tyres. Cutler still hasn't pitted yet. Has Cutler pitted this race? I want to say he hasn't, and look at the amount of fuel he's got left on board that car. If I've missed something and Cutler's pitted and I've missed it, he's just not changed the tyres. Unless he refueled earlier when he pitted to fix his damage. Right, Miggins and full send both come into the pits. We'll see what they do. Sean, he's probably going to peel off into the pits now as well. Excellent first stint by Sean. Oh, he carries on actually. So he's extending this. Look at that, 23.4 on worn tyres. Is he going to get Miggins? Oh, that's going to send him deep. He just tried to get past Miggins. Miggins actually respectfully gives him the room, I think. Yeah. And Miggins, who's on the hard tyre now. Now this is a turn up for the books. Full send is on the soft tyre and he's behind Miggins. So the difference in compounds quite a lot in terms of lap time. We're looking on paper at least a second a lap between the soft and the hard tyre. Cutler did pit. Alright, he pitted to fix damage, so he probably stuck a bit of fuel in at the same time as well, just to extend that stint, which is probably what I'm sure you're allowed to do that. You're just not because there's no pit windows or anything like that, so you can do. Yeah, so Miggins needs to play the long game here, so he's on the slow tyre. Stick with Sean for the end of the lap. Sean will peel off and then just become the widest Mercedes-Benz in history, because full send and Buddy behind him. Granted, Buddy is good 6 seconds off and will probably struggle to catch him that fast. Yeah, full send. If he gets stuck behind Miggins, or he lets him through. I was going to say, full send gets stuck behind Miggins for a long enough time, it'll pay off for Miggins at the end of the race. Right, okay, let's see how this plays out. Sean does pit, medium stint done. A fantastic job he did of that as well. 24 minutes on the same set of tyres. Great job on his fuel management. He will probably do a short, hard stint now. I knew he could go onto the softs in fairness now. He's got enough of a gap. It's not like he's coming out in traffic, is he? Yeah, he's not got traffic, so he can do that. That's fair. And then just get the hards on right at the end. That is also very doable. Yeah, I want to say cut. There's no way on earth a Viper has saved its fuel, has done 25 minutes on 3/4 of a tank. There's no chance of that happening. So yeah, Millerman, I think he did pit for tyres. So D-Dot's having to get out of the way of traffic. Sorry D-Dot, we've not given you much coverage, dude. He's just amidst his hard stint now. Duds has gone on for another lap. So Duds has done the hards now. He'll probably pit at the end of this lap. You can see obviously it's cost him a lot in lap time, and he's a minute 15 behind the leader of the race, but he's just got all his fast compounds to come now. The problem is he's done a long time on them hards though. It's a long time to spend on the hard tyre. So Roving Island in the Audi out on the hards as well now. So not a bad first stint for Roving Island at all. Slow Seamus out on the hards. Lucky Bucky out on the hards. Cutlet still on those mediums. Should probably pit in the next couple of laps, but we'll see. You can probably afford to take a set of softs on now and try and catch Puani, who's on the hard tyre. Phil Chair on the hard tyre. Sean, Buddy on softs, Miggins on hards, and Full Send on softs. Full Send needs to make use of this now. He's coming up with some lap traffic, but the BMW driver needs to just go full ham for as long as he possibly can. The longer he can run these soft tyres, the better it's going to pay off for him in the long run. He needs to build a gap basically to Miggins. So this is lap traffic he's coming up to. Lap traffic actually, yep, does get out of the way. Fair play. I would probably expect Miggins' stint on the hards to be relatively short. A couple more laps, I'd imagine, out of Miggins on these. 24-0. So yeah, he's losing. He's doing well to negate it, because like I say, he's short fueled. So this is the benefit of short fueling. So he's only carrying about 50 kilos of fuel on that car, which is half what he started the race with. Which means the time that you'd lose on the hards anyway, you kind of make up for with carrying less fuel. It's not an exact science, but it definitely helps. Buddy's done the same. Sorry, no, Buddy's doing a longer stint than him. My bad. Buddy actually pitted quite a while ago, to be fair. Lap 14, so Buddy's done 6 laps on those tyres now. Sean now doing faster and faster lap times, so he's going ever quicker. The gap between him and the leaders is about 12 odd seconds. But to say he was off the track, like waiting for cars to pass him early on in the race, he's doing a damn fine job at the minute. Puani not had a great race so far as Puani. He's had a little bit of an inconsistent one, which is not what I'd normally say for Puani, but again, we're at the halfway mark. Cutler's fuel tank is finally starting to flash into the emergency zone, so he's probably going to have to come in and get rid of those tyres soon. Lucky Bucky on hard tyres is looking like he might try and pass the ailing Dodge Vapor. Full Send then has started to pull the gap now to Miggins. He sets a personal best lap time of 22.1. Muggins that time of 23.5, so he's keeping good consistencies, Miggins. I'll give him credit for that. He's losing time in that sector 1. Actually goes deep there at Graham Hill, but he's going to try and have him around the inside. An easy pass for Buddy on the inside, that one. But yeah, Miggins is minimising his time loss on the slower compound, which is exactly what he needed to be doing. Because then when he goes onto the softs, he's not lost as much time. Because there's quite a few drivers that still need to take that hard compound. The problem, I guess, for those running the softs now is the guys that, sorry, those running the hards now is the guys that are running the softs aren't having to work too hard for their positions, so they're not taking excess life out of the tyres. Which you kind of expect to be happening. Buddy then P2 at the minute. We think he's got to take the hard tyre yet. He's going to try and stretch his soft stint as long as he can. 22.2 that time round for Buddy. So again, pulls a little bit of a gap on Miggins, who that time does a 24.6. That little mistake at Graham Hill costing him dearly that time round. He may pit in a lap or two's time. So just evaluating Buddy's tyre life. So Buddy pitted on lap 14 for that set of softs. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, are now 8 laps on those tyres, and they are starting to just lose their edge a little bit. So Buddy's times, he's still about 15 odd minutes on those tyres, hasn't he? There or thereabouts, probably a little bit less. So yeah, Miggins might actually extend his hard stint here a little bit if he's not losing too much time on him. Meanwhile, Full Send. Looks like he's trying to stretch his soft stint. Comfortably in the 22s for Full Send. He's nice and comfortable up front. He's just starting to lap some traffic now. We just saw him lap slow. Seamus is now coming up to lap the Audi of Roving Island. This lap another 22.2 for Full Send, who is now 6 seconds clear at the top of the field. With Buddy in hot pursuit. Behind Buddy is Miggins on the hard tyres. Miggins 23.3 that time round for Miggins, so he's doing an excellent job on the hards. Sean on the soft compound of tyre, starting to yeah, he's comfortably in the 22s as well, Sean. So yeah, he's doing a fine job on those softs. Monsieur Phil G. His livery always reminds me of Mel B from the what do you call it? What's the TV show that Finger used to do? Ooh, that's what it reminds me of. Don't know why I came to that. But what else? What other evolving stories have we got? We've got D-Dot who's gone off track here. He'll be swearing after this one, no doubt. It's a slow Seamus. Coming up to be lapped now by Buddy. He'll probably be in the pits this lap to get rid of those tyres. Dud's now on the medium tyre. Now starting to lap a little bit quicker. Full Send 6. He's pulling about 6-7 tenths a lap out now. On Buddy on the softs. Miggins that time again, another mid 23. So he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Now it doesn't look like it on track. But Miggins is doing enough to put himself in contention for a race win here. He's 9 seconds off the leader. He's just going onto the back straight now. The leader's having to contend with a bit of traffic, which is slowing him down a little bit. So obviously Miggins will hit that traffic as well. He's already getting it, and that's actually helping him in a way because he can slipstream some of it. But traffic can also slow you down. It can cost you time if you're having to pass it, if you catch them in really bad areas of the track. Lapping traffic like Miggins is doing now against Roving Island. It's caught him right at the worst time. because he's had to delay getting on the throttle there. Nothing either car can really do about it. Roving Island got out of the way as soon as he possibly could. But it's up to the lapping car to do the lapping, so the drivers don't have to necessarily dive out of the way. 9 times out of 10 they do, but they don't have to, and the guys at the top have to keep that in mind. So Miggins then got a pit, so it is now time for the soft tyres for Miggins. Probably the right time. Looking at the track map, he should come out in clear air. What he definitely doesn't want to do is come out behind those cars he's just lapped. There's a couple of cars that were battling on track that lapped. So it's D-Dot and Seamus. If he came out with those, that would be pretty bad news for him. But he comes out ahead of those cars and 31 seconds behind full send. Now on the soft tyres. Miggins can just do quali laps now to the end. That's it. Miggins is the first car out on track that's going to the end. Quali laps all round, and provided he's got the fuel for it, of course. But I expect that Mercedes to fly. He's got clear track ahead of him. 12 seconds to Sean ahead. By the time he catches Sean will have probably pitted as well. So that won't be a factor. Buddy's probably going to be pitting anytime soon as well. Buddy will probably be going on to the hard tyre. I think that's the only time he's got left to take. So will Buddy try and stretch this another lap? Yeah, he's going to try it. The less time he can get away with spending on that tyre. I think Miggins might actually inherit the race lead here without actually having to do a single overtake, just because all the 3 cars ahead of him are going to have to pit, and looking at the gaps and the amount of fuel they're going to have to take on, it's going to be close between him and full send. I can't remember what the refuel time is, but yeah, it'll be close. Especially for 22.9. Off the top of my head, maths is not good, but it sort of depends on what Miggins can do in terms of his tyres now. Full G. He's got rid of the hards, he'll be on the soft tyres now. Again, he could start to probably try and attack Mr. Sean once he's out of that. Assuming Sean has to pit again, they might come out pretty close together. Roving Island does well just to get out of the way of Sean, who now inherits 3rd position. Buddy then gonna pit this lap. So the Aston Martin driver looking at that again. He's gonna lose out to Sean, I think, unless Sean dives in the pits at the same time as well, but I doubt he will. He's got enough fuel to carry on. Those tyres don't look too bad. Sean might as well just stretch this as much as he possibly can. That wasn't a luxury Buddy had as his pit crew gets to work now. Slaps a set of Michelin hards on there. He's going to put himself enough fuel in. Predictably at this time, probably just between half and 3/4 of a tank, sorry, is what you need to get to the end of the race. So Buddy then, hard tyres for Buddy, comes out of the pits. He's going to be ahead of Miggins, but crucially on the hard tyre. Oh, Anthony Hunt, you absolute hero, dude. Thanks for the prime. Cheers, big boy. You know the favour will be repaid, my man. I'm currently gifted over on your channel, but once that expires, that'll be primed over to you. I'm saving one for you, mate. Appreciate it, dude. Thanks for the support. If you're curious what you're watching, Hunty, my man, it is the Mature Racing Club Team Oliver Racing GT3 League. This is essentially as close as a full sim experience as you can get. It's tuning allowed, no bop. Very, very strict regulations in terms of tyres and pit windows and all that sort of stuff. Doing full damage. Quite a severe tyre. Always we see Buddy and Miggins go to work. Buddy's just trying to fight the Mercedes. Yeah, full tuning and everything as well. It's a very, very interesting league to commentate on. Let's have a look. So Buddy tried to fight this around the outside. Plenty of respect given in fairness by both drivers, but Miggins just keeps his car in there. The much softer compound Miggins. No, nice. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair between them both. I thought for a minute that it was going to be a shove to the outside Sheen, but it wasn't. So Sean now, hard compound tyres. He's come out comfortably ahead of Phil. Now Phil has the softs on. We'll see what the deficit comes down to, but it's got to be a tall order for Phil to catch Sean now. But we'll see. Where's Sean? Sean's coming round Grey Mill now. Yeah, it's a lot of time that. So the top. So Full Send's going to pick this lap now. He'll slap the hard on. It's whether Miggins. See, Full Send did an excellent job of pulling that gap. He's going to have to take half a tank's worth of fuel on, and he's going to be on the hard tyres, but I think Full Send will pit and come out ahead of Miggins. Yeah, I'm good, Hunty, mate. I'm very good, thank you. Considering all this nonsense that we've got going on at the minute, but I'm not going to get started on that on stream. But yeah, I'm alright, mate. I'm alright. Just trying to keep the well-being up, you know what I mean. So Full Send actually over fuels for me. He stuck a lot of fuel in that car. Alright, I can't. Yeah, he's quali lapping. Quali lapping on hard. That's his tactic. So, Miggins, 8.6 seconds is the gap now. He's on the softer compounder tyre, which in theory is going to be between 1 and 2 seconds a lap faster than the car ahead. We've got 9 minutes remaining, and the gap is 7.6 seconds. It's going to come down to the wire on that one. Buddy on the hard tyres, probably going to be a bit of a sitting duck for Sean once he catches. Oh wait, no, read that wrong, sorry, my bad. Actually, to correct myself, Buddy's on the hard tyres, Sean's on the hard tyres, so neither risk for each of them. Phil G on the softs has got a 24-second gap to catch to Sean. That is going to be a very tall order for him. What else have we got going on? Lucky Bucky's pitted. He's now on his soft compound tyres. He's going to kind of go full hammered it. He's got a Cutler ahead who's on the softs. I think Cutler still needs to pit, don't he, to take the hard tyre. So Lucky Bucky should pick that position up. I don't know if ProAm has to do the same still as well. I don't think he's took the hards yet. So Seamus versus Roving Island. Roving Island actually lets him go there. He's on the hard tyre. Probably wise not to fight it too much. Roving Island actually pits now, I think. D-Dots unfortunately had another accident. So is this another Sheen curve massacre? So Sheen is a blind curve. We're actually on the roof here, so we can see a lot more than the drivers can. Yeah, the curb throws him off a little bit. So I want to suspect that might be... D-Dot might have quite a stiff setup for now, but that just means he gets thrown off curbs a little bit more. I don't know what his setup's like, but yeah, it just means he gets thrown around a little bit more. So to give you an update on the battle for the lead, that is down from 7 seconds to 5. Miggins is setting purple sectors, which means fastest of everyone at any point in the race so far. We have 8 minutes remaining. The gap is 5 seconds. So as it stands, Miggins will catch up to Full Send before the end of the race and have enough opportunity to launch an attack. Sean, all you need to do, mate, just keep it on the black stuff. That's all you need to do, my friend. He's probably got a bit of fuel saving to do with Sean as well, just by looking at the fuel levels of other cars around him. Cutler's getting caught severely by Lucky Bucky now. Lucky Bucky, he doesn't necessarily need to pressure this move too much, but at the same point he wants to catch ProAm as well. Here we can see getting a much better exit. Lucky Bucky's got to, oh nice by Lucky Bucky, just unfortunate to get a little bit of a tap there on the back of the Viper, but that was a nice attempt at a switch back. Gets a good run on him here. Cutler can't defend that because he's not quick enough. Through Sheen, side by side to go. Cutler tries to fight it. Cutler actually has to back out of that move. Is he going to try and launch one down the inside here? No, he doesn't. Nice racing there by Lucky Bucky. Was patient enough and executed when he had the opportunity to. That's some nice driving. Gap between Full Send and Miggins now down to 3.3 seconds. I fear Full Send's undoing here was over-fueling. That has undoubtedly cost him a fair amount of time. Miggins is on full quali lap mode as well. 22.3 that time round, but a 24.0 that time round, so he's going a second and a half a lap faster than the car ahead. The tyres are pretty fresh at this point, and imagine looking at the time. Miggins can push and lean on those tyres quite nicely, and they won't go too off. They are still quite good at absorbing the heat, I guess. Everyone else pretty much ticking along nicely. Lucky Bucky's now going to be trying to launch an attack on Puani. Puani's carrying a little bit of rear aero damage. That'll just keep the rear stability a little bit loose. You might notice that car wobbling around at the rear a little bit more. It's just because it's not quite squatting down as much as it normally would in the high aero loading areas, of which there are quite a few here. As you can see it there, it was just a little bit unsure about getting the power down out of Clark Curve, and Lucky Bucky's just able to chunk time out of him. Cutler pits, then he's going to go onto the hard tyres now. He will still come out in P8. I'm pretty confident of that. Gap as we start lap 33, just under 5 minutes remaining. 1.5 seconds between Full Send and Miggins. That moment we're all waiting for is not far away. With that rear aero damage starting to struggle a little bit. We've got Lucky Bucky all over him now. Lucky Bucky again catches a car at the wrong point in the circuit. Puani's going defensive. And the Lexus again just has to exercise just a little bit of caution. Let's make sure he can spot his apexes. When you're right up behind another car, it's hard to spot your turning points because you typically rely on references at the side of the track, and if you're right behind a car you can't see that, so a lot of it is muscle memory kicking in, and you just don't want to make a mistake at this stage in the race. That would be pretty disastrous. So Lucky Bucky exercising a fair bit of patience there, which is quite nice to see, but also we do want to see that move try and get made at least. One move we do want to see get made, Miggins v Full Send. That gap now is literally nothing as they come down towards Clark Curve. Miggins going to try and go around the outside. Nice move by Miggins. Actually, Full Send pretty compliant in letting that happen. Did defend the move, but ultimately on hard tyre just doesn't have the grip. That puts Miggins up into the lead of the race. And Full Send on the hard tyre is quite pushed to do anything about that. Let's go for a little bit of an onboard recap of how that happened. So, coming out through Sheen, Full Send just runs it a little bit deep. That curbs his momentum coming off the corner. Miggins with more lateral grip anyway because of his superior tyre grip. Just able to drive around the outside. A nice move there by Miggins, who is currently your de facto race leader. Full Send P2 has a 10-second advantage over Buddy. Buddy also on the hard tyre, having to do a little bit of fuel saving now as well. That fuel is looking a little bit on the ropey side for him. Same for Sean as well, to be fair. These boys will be monitoring that situation, but the good news I guess for these guys is they have a little bit of a gap. They've probably got enough time to get in and out before losing a position to any other car. Puani and Lucky Bucky down the inside of Puani. Looked to have been a little bit of contact there. I think Lucky Bucky's actually letting off for him, but yeah he is, which is fair. Contact will happen. Cutler getting blue flag now. That means Miggins is coming up to put a lap on him. Slow Seamus has absolutely ripped them soft, the new one. I don't know if he's still got his hards to take, but he might want to come in now and get those changed. No, he's carrying on. Mr. Roving Island out in the Audi, P10 for Roving Island at the minute. He's on his softs. They look quite fresh as well, so I don't know what's going on there. And D-Dot's out on the softs as well. And Duds currently running in last place. So Miggins getting held up a little bit by lap traffic. Full Send is still in the pocket a little bit of the Mercedes driver. Obviously on the hard tyre though, he's just going to be losing miles an hour through the corner. So some of you watching may be wondering why the pace difference on a hard versus a soft compound tyre. Well, it's all down to how the rubber sort of interacts with the road. So if you imagine the road surface isn't perfectly soft like the tabletop or anything, it's actually very much like the pavement outside. It's made of shaved asphalt, and you've got little grooves and bumps all over the place. Well, the rubber essentially gets to a heating temperature where it becomes, it's actually not solid, it's actually kind of loose. And the way the tyre grips, the way the tyre generates grip and heat is by gripping into the surface, and that's why you get these marbles at the side of the track that you can see there. That's actually when the tyre is ripped and essentially discarded itself because it's been torn apart by the road. The hard tyre takes longer to heat up, doesn't grip into the road quite as well because the rubber essentially doesn't loosen up as much as the soft does, and that's why the soft tyre degrades faster. Anyway, that's science with Chris for you for this one. What I have failed to notice is the timer has run out. We are on the last lap of the race, and we actually have some drivers finishing. Phil G has finished in 5th. It looks like Pirani, unless Lucky Bucky launches a move up the inside at the very last minute, will finish in 6th place. He's got enough on Lucky Bucky at the minute to do it. Is he going to have the fuel? Has he timed this fuel to perfection? I think he might do, you know. He does. Pirani brings it home in 6th, Lucky Bucky in 7th, Cutler in 8th, Slow Seamus is going to finish 9th, Roving Island in 10th, D-Dot in 11th, Duds is going to finish in 12th. But back to the top with full plaudits, CRT Miggins, a great result for him, Full Send in 2nd place. MRC Buddy, after a bit of a treacherous race for the Aston Martin driver, he's going to bring it home in 3rd place, and a great result for Sean, who even he will say his first stint didn't get off to the greatest of starts, but he kept his head in gear. A great mature drive from Sean, from a really well managed race from him. So probably one of my drivers of the day, to be brutally honest, just for how he managed that. But as quickly as it started, there it finishes. That's your race result order. Well happy with 5th. Yeah, mate, it's a tough track, his brand. Anything can happen there. Right, when Miggins yeah, it was a good drive by Miggins as well. Again, it's held down to how they executed that first stint. That first stint gave them the flexibility in the 2nd and the 3rd. And same can be said for Sean. That's what gave them the pace at the end, because they could. They didn't have to manage at the end. They did all the managing on the medium tyre, which is hard to do when you're racing. Cheers, Ashley. And if you're watching this, if you're new to the channel, there's a purple follow button on your screen. If you click it, it makes me happy. It doesn't cost anything. It's completely free of charge. Just lets you know that I'm live and stuff. If you have Twitch Prime, you have the option of subscribing to me as well. Just supports the channel. Certainly not a definite you have to do it, or I send people around to your house. It's nothing like that. Just means you can support the channel. But if you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. Content is free. Cheers, Phil. Cheers, Millerman. Thank you. Oh, I best save that replay because I need a thumbnail for YouTube. Yeah, so coming up next, the last race is what's the last race now? What is it? Open lobby. Oh, D-Dot, you're speaking my language, but I've got work in the morning, mate. I might jump in. We'll see. What's next week? I know it's a real world track. I can't remember what it is. And I've even got Nev's promotional thing saved in my phone somewhere. Because he sends me all the info. It's in there, so I can't be bothered going looking for it. Anyway, keep an eye on the socials. It'll all be on there. I'll promote it in my normal. I'll promote it in my normal way, with sarcastic Instagram pictures. Cheers, Lucky Bucky. Good race, mate. Unfortunate, unlucky that you didn't get Piranha at the end, but I particularly liked your moves on Cutler. Very nice to watch. Yeah, good race that. I actually enjoyed it. Brands Hatch sometimes can be a bit of a dull one because everyone's driving too conservatively, but is it Fugi? Could be. It could be. You know what? I'll have a quick look because I know what Nev's like. He's a bit fastidious, so he's got it all set up already. GT3 League. Nerb GP. Yeah, Nerb GP. Oh no, sorry, I'm reading the wrong thumbnail. It's Catalunya. Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. So that's the final. That's the next one. So if you want to watch that, ladies and gentlemen, it's 8:30 Wednesday night next week on the channel. There's also something else coming up. I can't really talk about too much just yet because I don't really know too much about it myself, but that should be happening 2 weeks on Tuesday. Whether I'll be doing comms for that, I'm not too sure, but I'll be participating in some way. Upcoming stuff on the channel. So tomorrow night we're back with the next gen Megans. So they're at Suzuka East, I think, for their reverse grid race. That's always going to be a fun one. And then we will be live again on Friday for the BMW M4s. Over on YouTube there'll be a few race review videos popping out over the coming weeks. The Infinity GT Manufacturer Series, that was a banger. You want to tune in for that one because it was very eventful. That video is going to be dropping hopefully in a few days when I get around to recording it. Cheers Mikey, thanks mate. And then as always the MRC GT3 videos probably drop over the weekend at some point again when I can be bothered to record them. Thanks for tuning in for this as always, really appreciate it. Thanks for the drivers for coming in and entertaining us. Thanks for you guys for coming into the chat and keeping me company, and for your support of the channel as well. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Have a good week. Hope it's a good one for you. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.